A wonderful program for you today. We actually sit back, enjoy with us 1 hour of good programming. I want to take this opportunity to thank our staff here who brings us great quality programming each and every week here on Hartford Public Access TV Channel 5. Today we're going to be discussing the state of Hartford once again, and also Hartford perspective. One take this opportunity to thank Sister Trish Nelson, who is our chief engineer, Brother Armando for our cameras, and Mike for our cable cast, and our co-host, Lakia Siobhan Leitner. Thank you all for your support on today. Today we'll be talking about the state of Hartford compared to other states. One of the things that I want to talk to you about is our crime. When you talk about black on black crime, you're talking about white crime, you're talking about minority crime, and it's a touchy subject that our citizens in our communities don't want to talk about, but it's reality. As we look, into the United States, we see that so many are being killed on. Especially our race of black Americans, black on black crime. And want to say that, it's detrimental that we as a community come together to face this crime on hand. When it looks like in our community that blacks are killing blacks, minorities are killing minorities, and then you look at the number of homicides in our cities, you look at the number of shootings in our cities, then you will say, wow, when you talk about one-on-one crime, is people in our communities tend to take a back seat to it, and they don't understand when it unless you look at the numbers of the shootings, if you look at the numbers of the homicides in the communities, you really can get an understanding about what's what. So, in that saying that we need to talk, have a special talk in our communities about crime, about in our schools we need to talk about crime. We need to talk about it in the churches because it's relevant when it comes down to our communities. And when you look at jobs, when you look at everything that's associated with it, housing, you look at employment, you're looking at mental health, all that's tied into when it comes down to your crime. And so what can we do? Well, families can set their foundation, and then, talk with your children, talk with your youth, talk with your adults, sons and daughters, when it comes down to our community. Let them know that, say, hey, take your money and invest your money wisely. Don't spend your money on things that are not feasible and not profitable to you. And so as we look, let's throw out a few numbers so that we can put it in perspective. And you're talking about crime. According to Washington Post, 737 have been shot and killed by police in 2017. Of that number, there were 329 whites, 165 blacks, and 112 Hispanics, 24 members of other races, and 107 people whose race was unknown. Okay, and this is statistic according to the Washington Post. All right, it says 737 people have been shot and killed by police this year, and this was 2017 in the United States. Of that number, there were 329 whites, 165 blacks, 112 Hispanics, 24 members of other races, and 107 people whose race was unknown. And it says, in Illinois is the home of the one of the most dangerous cities, Chicago. 18 people have been shot and killed by police this year. In the city itself, police have shot and killed 10 people and shot and wounded 10 others. Somebody should ask about kneeling about the black NFL players, why they are protesting the kind of killings in the Windy City and others around the country and ignoring other sources of black deaths. Here are the Chicago numbers for the ignored deaths. So far, in 2017, there have been 533 murders and 2,880 shootings. Over an average, a person is shot every 2 hours, 17 minutes, and murdered every 12 and a half hours. In 2016, when Colin Kaepernick started taking a knee, Chicago witnessed 806 murders and 4,379 shootings. It turns out the most of the murdered victims are black. Adding to the tragedy is the fact that Chicago has a 12.7% murder clearance rate. That means that when a black person is murdered, his perpetrator is found and charged with his murder less than 13% of the time. Similar statistics regarding police killings, blacks versus black killings, apply to many of the predominantly black urban centers such as Philadelphia, Baltimore, New Orleans, St. Louis, and Oakland. Many Americans, including me, see that black NFL protests of police brutality and pathetic use of sabotaging, seeing as these players have made no open protests against the thousands of blacks being murdered and maintained by blacks that first view in trivial in comparison with the police killings. So what it's saying is that we need to be mindful in our communities of the killings in our communities. We're so focused on when a certain event happened that we speak out. Yes, that is a good thing to do, and I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to do. When things happen in your communities, it is a time to speak out. But it's time to speak out even more when it comes down to our community. It's time to speak out even more to say that, hey, we need to address this whole situation with our minority on minority crime in our communities, and we need to take note and hold of this. And you have anything you would like to say on that, Okia?
No.
Okay, all right, yeah. And so when it comes down to our people, killing our people, and so what can we do? We can work together with our school system when it comes down to our youth in our communities, work along with the public school systems. They have PTA meetings, Parents Teachers Association meetings in the school systems. And, sit down, talk with your teachers, talk with your principals, talk with your staffing there, and just see where your child is being progress, and just follow that along the way and work in the schools. There's many ways that the school can contact the parents. They can contact the parents through email, through text. They can contact through letters to the home, through telephone calls. There's many ways that you can contact those parents and talk with them. And so one-on-one is a vice versa. It's 100% on the teacher's parents on the teacher's side, and then it's one-on-one on the parent side. And so either way, teachers and parents have to follow up with each other on their children to find out where they are, what needs to be improved in their lives, and just come together in a Parents Teachers Association meeting. As we look at those numbers, we say, what can we do more to work along with our law enforcement and our fire departments? Hey, what we can do more is we could sit down and talk with them, to get that community engagement talk. We can set up our community block watches. We can set up community conversations to discuss what can we do to make things better in our community, so that we don't have the one-on-one crime. We don't have the police killings in our communities. These are the things that we need to do to prevent violence prevention in our communities. And so it's just these conversations is definitely needed when it comes down to crime in our communities. Are we just going to let things happen? No, we're not just going to let things happen in our communities. Are we going to stand up for righteousness in our communities? Yes, we're going to stand up for righteousness in our communities. When things happen in our communities that we don't understand, yes, we're going to stand up for those things that we don't understand, and we're going to stand up to come up with solutions to the situation. And before a situation gets out of hand, we're going to stand up and take a stand for what is right. And so if you weigh it, those conversations need to be made. People always say, and this when it comes down to crime, people is always going to make they're going to try to defend their own territory. They're going to try to say, well, this and this is so, and that is so, and what fits for them. But when you actually look at it, if you're not walking in that person's shoes, then you won't understand what's going on. Some of the things that takes place that for this crime is jobs. If people don't have jobs, how are they going to support their families? All right, that's a question. If they don't have jobs, how are they going to support their families? They can't because they don't have any income coming in. What are they going to do? They're going to see whatever they can do to try to support their families and try to support themselves. Then what is that doing? That's going back to crime. All right. Housing. If they don't have adequate housing, they're in the streets. They don't have a job, don't have adequate housing, so that causes a crime. Another thing is mental health. We have a lot of individuals in Hartford that have mental health problems that haven't been addressed. And so what do? You talking about having mental health problems and then causing ruptures in communities. And so what can you do? That's where you talk about crime. All these things makes up that whole particular circle of one-on-one crime. And so what can we do to alleviate that? We need to have that conversation. So what can be done? Black people need to find new heroes, as is what it says. Right now, at least in terms of support given, their heroes are criminals such as Baltimore Freddie Gray, Ferguson Mike Brown, and Florida, and different ones. And so it says black support tends to go towards the criminals in the community rather than the overwhelming number of people in the community who are law-abiding. That needs to end. All right. So if you putting your trust in people that are not, community leaders, and you putting your trust in other people that are, criminals, then that's what it's saying is that we need community leaders that are going to stand up for this violence situation. We need to take a stand for it quickly and swiftly, because is it really getting out of hand when it comes down to our communities and these shootings, crime in our community. Somebody said, well, what are we going to do? Well, first of all, what we can do is we can get together with the community to have that conversation, to talk and see what's needed, and I guarantee you, all those subjects that we talked about is going to come up: jobs, housing, and mental health screening. Those are the things that are going to come up, and then it's going to talk about our political system, our political leaders taking a stand when it comes down to our communities. They're going to say, well, the political leaders are not supporting the communities. They're not supporting what we do. So why should we support the political system? And that's what people are going to be saying. And so when you talk about black on black crime, and you talk about minority crime, you talk about white on white crime, you talk about all these different things, all these issues are going to come up in our communities. And so how can we take a stand in our communities? We need to take our communities back. Churches need to get out more and walk the streets and talk to people, see what their needs are, and try to help in any kind of way. I know the individuals are not social workers, all right? They're not social workers, but if we're going to take a stand in our communities, we got to help social work our communities. We got to help, with this whole situation. If you know of jobs, you need to say, hey, find out who's qualified and who's not qualified. We need to go back to these businesses and say, hey, let's go into these businesses and, say what we need to. We have 200 individuals that's out of work. Let's go to these businesses and say, hey, do you have 200 positions available that we can fill these positions, and that we as a community, we will monitor their progress. And if they don't show up to work, then, if they don't show up to work and do what they're supposed to do, they're out, of course. Yes, and they have a 30-day probationary period. If they don't follow up with that 30-day probationary period and they can't follow up with that, then they shouldn't have a job. And then little by little, you're going to see that number of 200 trickle down. But what we want to do is we want to encourage our brothers and sisters and support them by offering training session, interview skills, resume making. We want to encourage them to job performance, training. We want to do all those different things in our communities to help them and be successful into that job market. And these are the things that we could do when it comes down to our communities, and we can do it. So it says what also needs to end is the lack of respect for cooperation with police, law enforcement, fire department, things like that. These individuals are here to assist us in our communities. And so when we don't have respect for them, they feel as though the community don't have respect for them. Okay, that causes them to lash out. So we don't want that to happen, but we want that conversation to say, hey, you have law enforcement, you have fire departments. We want to have that conversation where we're all working together, and so that when they see our brothers and sisters on the streets, when they see our brothers and sisters that are walking on a daily basis, they can say, hey, how you doing? Or if they see a child is not doing something right, they can say, hey, you're Mrs. Williams' son, and that Mrs. Williams is a good, prominent community leader in the community, and you shouldn't be doing the things that you're doing, and address those needs in the community. And so we need those type of police officers that can spot right away who you are and where you're going and how and what are your plans. So you talk about the political black system. Once again, the political system, people in the communities are going to say, well, political system is not for us, because they have, out of years and years, have, not done what they're supposed to do when it comes down to our communities. And so this is why we need to have a sit-down talk with our community politicals, and come up and say, hey, we need to address these situations. They have city hall meetings every first Monday of the month. Every first Monday of the month, they have city hall meetings, open forums, and then you can go there to city hall and ask your questions or so, and then address some of the issues that affects your community, and not just go there. Have something in hand to present to them. We had gentlemen that he said, "Well, I'm afraid to talk in front of people," and then he spoke, but what he didn't do is he didn't present anything to the council. And so what you have to do is you have to present something to them and say, hey, I need you to take a look at what I have. I need you to follow up with what's going on in our communities, and so that you can make those political officials, you can make them accountable for their actions, and say, I need you to follow up. What is the end result of the follow-up? What is the end result of it? Have you followed up? If they have just taken your paperwork and pushed it up underneath the table, then you need to address that situation and say, no, we didn't come to have you into office. Just take this paperwork and put it up underneath the table. We've got this paperwork so that we can address certain situations in our community and go from there. And so these are things that we need to talk about in our communities. And there's so many articles that talks about this in our community. Why are the NFL players taking a knee? The reason why is because we need to stop the police killings all across country. And if individuals can't understand that, you can't understand that, then there's something wrong with you, basically, when it comes out taking the knee to police killings and things like that, to address it. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Brother Kaepernick for taking that stand in our communities worldwide, and it wasn't easy for him to take that stand, but we want to thank him for taking that stand for our young youth, our young black youth in our community. Want to thank him for taking that stand for that young black minority in the communities who has been facing some problems in our community, and who has been killed or have been, taking a stand for them, and so that we can save more lives. Otherwise, we will be in the same predicament that we are across country with black-on-black crime, with police killings, minority on minority crime, white crime, etc. And so as we look at these numbers once again across country, so it says the average have been 533 murders and 2,880 shootings. On average, a person is shot every 2 hours and 17 minutes and murdered every 12 and a half hours. Now, you look at those numbers, and then you look at Chicago witnessed 806 murders and 4,379 shootings. And if you take that number and you range it across country, and you look at the black-on-black crime and the murders that are being presented across country, it make you think and it make you say, hey, let's have that community conversation with police, and let's have that community conversation with our community to see what we can do to bridge that gap from community to police to fire department. Let's sit down and have those talks to better our communities. And we can do it. Definitely, we can do it. And so that was on my mind. What are your takes on that? 524-8920. 524-8920 is the number. 860-524-8920 is the number. Give us a call here if you have a question, a concern in your community that you would like to see addressed. There's so many concerns in our community. You can only take but one or two concerns each person. We have enough people in our community to say, let's take on the trash issue. Let's take on the crime issue. Let's take on our youth issue. Let's take on our adult issue. Let's take on our adult reentry issue. Let's take on our food issue. Let's take care of our homeless issue. There's so many people in our communities that can adopt one of those issues and just work toward a better place. I think if we could do that, our communities would be much better. And our co-producer, Lakia Siobhan Leitner, we were talking the other day, and I told her, I said, well, your organizations deal with mixed race individuals. I said, you should be taking on that issue. I said, Hartford Community Leaders, we don't deal with the mixed race issue on that, right?
Yes.
And then I said, we work in the community on certain subjects for violence prevention, and we touch on this subject when it comes down to our communities. And so, so if everybody, saying this is everybody take on an issue in the community, we will have a better place. Everyone would be able to, work on those issues, and we can all come together and work on some of those issues together. And that's what will make Hartford a better place. All right? So, with that saying, Lakia, do you have anything you want to?
Yes, I was just elected National Women's Studies Association, the chairman. And once I get my PhD, then I can go on a governing committee.
Okay.
And that's a big step in my career. It's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
You got to absolutely love women's studies like me to get that position.
So what kind of a career are you looking to get into?
Well, I already work in the women's studies field, but I want to eventually, once I get my PhD in women's studies, I want to be a professor, and I want to also be a president as well.
It's good to have those titles, but what are you doing in the community for those for that title?
Well, I have my sisterhood. We do workshops for women, financial. We do that. We also deal with body image, because a lot of women, they don't feel beautiful. They have insecurities about their body. We also have workshops on creating a future, because a lot of women, they don't have the courage to per se go back to college because they feel like they're too old. And my workshops teach the women that you're never too old to obtain that degree. Mm-hmm. So that's really what I want to do for mm-hmm. women. And also for my women's leadership, I want to establish a Women of Grace program and at my churches. And also I want to do other work as well. Mm-hmm. Like I will be a first lady at a church as well. So that's what I would, mm-hmm. pretty much use my work mm-hmm. for those positions.
Mm-hmm. And so as we look in the communities, we see all the different things happening in the communities with, women. We have young people, 12 years old, 14 years old, without, a complete family that's actually, homeless or walking the streets at that particular age. What is your women's group looking to do to present future leaders when it comes to our community and some of the concerns in our community? The reason why we have so many women, young girls now, they're being addicted to drugs. Young girls are being, on the streets, selling their bodies. What is your leadership group doing to ensure that hey, we need to address these issues and, those statistics that are actually out there when it comes down to our communities.
Well, we would direct the young ladies, that's going through that in their lives to the right organizations that can help them further. And also the churches as well. We would step in and help out as much as we can on the spiritual aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is there something where you can do? Have you talked to any young women that have been going through this, or because if you go out on the streets, Albany Avenue, Blue Hills Avenue, Park Street, you see these things happening.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the homeless shelters. Have you actually sat down one-on-one to talk with individuals?
I would say not one-on-one, but I have worked with organizations that work with people like this, and it was just like more of a group effort to resolve the issue. Because they have a lot more, they're more experts in that area, where I only could do so much on a women's studies aspect of it.
Right.
So we, as a group, we all, partner to resolve the issue and get help for the individuals as a group.
And you speaking on women's leadership and women's studies and things like that. You have a program that's happening coming up real soon. Tell us a little bit about that program. What are some of the goals and objectives you're trying to reach on this program?
Well, as you know, I've been, talking about it for about a month now. I'm going to be, I'm the organizer and host for Connecticut March for Black Women. And so many women from all over have reached out to me. And on this day, we start from 12 to 1. I'm going to speak briefly to the crowd. And then after, I'm going to give the mic to, individuals that want to talk about issues that affect them. And I want us to all resolve the issues, because for thousands of years, people have the same issue and it's not being resolved. And I don't want another 1,000 years to come and we're still facing the same issue, the injustice of America, the disrespect for Black women and other women in this country, So, I don't mind that men come up, that's okay. I don't mind, because you're speaking on behalf of a male perspective, and also I'm sure you have a mom, a wife, a daughter, maybe you have a sister, your grandmother. So I want you to come out as well. It's not just for women, I want the men perspective as well.
Mm-hmm. And so the program that you have set up when is that take place?
It occurs this Friday at the Connecticut State Capitol, and we will start at 12 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, and what are some of the what are you going to do there at the Capitol?
I'm going to talk, give a brief, just something brief to tell people about me, what I do in the community, and also what I do as a career, and also I'm going to pass the mic to other people. Okay. And I want us to all work together, after the march, because a lot of people go to these events and they talk a good game, but they're not really there to resolve the issue. I want to resolve the issue instead of just talking about it. So I definitely want to network with participants of the march, and if you can't make it, still reach out to me. We need to resolve these issues.
And somebody said, well, where are we going to march to? And so it just want to, on the day's events, are you going to be marching, or are you going to be just speaking?
I'm going to be just speaking.
Okay.
Yes.
And so basically the people, they will march up to the podium and
yes.
speak.
Or you can march up to, where we're located, because it is, if you part at the bottom, you are kind of marching.
Where's the event going to take place?
It's going to take place the section of the Capitol where your parking area is.
Okay.
So people literally, you could march if you want. If you can't get a part there, you have to park somewhere else. You could literally walk or march up there. So you could partake in that. Yeah, you can.
Yourself.
Yeah.
And so so it's going to take place on this Friday, the 28th, at what time?
From 12 to 1.
12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. All right. And so...
And also I'm going to have a table, too, full of literature. I definitely want to get rid of it. So please take all. I do not want to take anything back.
What kind of literature are you going to have?
Everything.
What as far as?
I'm gonna have stuff from voting, my nonprofit, and other goodies. Please take. Oh, I'm gonna have merchandise too, so please take it. I do not want to go home with the stuff from the table.
All right. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not going to be other tables there, and there's going to be limited space, right?
Well, well, the whole area is ours. You know, so we got room for a table.
So yeah, well, I just want to, because I know you have to set up in advance for something like that, for tables and things to be out in the lawn of the state capitol, and just want to say that you will have your basic materials provided so that people could just take and see what your organization is about, to see what the march is all about, to see things like that.
And also, I'm going to have your items there as well.
Well,
we can't leave you out. We got to get you out there too now.
Yeah, well, the thing is this is a women's march, and so,
but
we focus on...
But a lot of women watch your show.
Yeah.
And you saying they come to your workshops and stuff, so it's fair to have your literature there as well.
Well, it's the work is being done, by the women, so... and so that's the thing on that. We want the women to come out and support this whole initiative, and it's going to be a great opportunity for them to come out and then speak on the microphone about some of the issues that the women has faced. Some of the issues, what are some of the issues that women have faced in the communities?
I would have to say injustice, the prejudice that America has for women, the disrespect that they have for women.
What else other than the disrespect?
The unfair pay, in some career fields, women make way less than a male. And this has been going on for thousands of years, and we talk about it, but it hasn't been resolved.
What else are some of the issues that face women in the communities?
I just spoke upon that. That would be the key right there.
Well, it's good that you would have a overview of all those different issues, and then when you come and make a plea to the people, say, hey, these are the things that we want to discuss. We're going to talk unfair wages. We're going to talk about the situation of unfairness as far as a race of people.
And one more thing, sexual assault. That's another issue that women have been facing for thousands of years as well.
Yeah, and so you got sexual assault, you got domestic violence.
Domestic violence, another one.
So these are the things that should be addressed when speaking, and so it's good to lay out on the day of the event, correct, that you have all these subjects laid out, so that when you give your introduction, you can say, hey, these are things, boom, boom, domestic violence, crime in our communities, homelessness in our communities, unfair pay wages for women in our communities. All these things should be addressed and lined out in that overview when you're speaking, when you give your overview of some to the people. And I know you will do that, but because these are the things that the people will want to hear, and to say, hey, and then if there's someone out there, a woman out there, they can say, well, that's my subject. That's me right there. Okay, I'm in sexual assault. I'm domestic violence. I'm the person that's dealing with this. I want to come to the microphone and I want to speak about that whole situation. I'm the one that's homeless right now. I'm the one that doesn't have that doesn't have family or have any income coming in right now. I'm the one that is going through my situation. I'm the one that's going through my storm right now, and I want to see what people can do to help me, in my situation and my needs. And then somebody might just step up and say, hey, I'm from this organization. I'm from this social organization. I'm from this place right here. I'm from this one, and I can assist you in your problem, in your situation. So those are the things that you want to see when it comes out to this marching and speaking happening on this coming Friday, September the 28th, from 12 p.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. And also voter registration. I don't vote, so a person may say, a woman may say, I don't vote, and so then you say, hey, I got one of the cards right here. Here's the information on how to become a voter. And so these are things that you're gonna have, right?
Yes.
Right. And so also you're gonna have guests coming in also?
Yes. The company in New York, Black Women's Blueprint, they actually started the Black March for Black Women movement, and one of the people in charge, they're coming to my march first, and then they're going to go to Washington and then attend their New York one. So that's huge, and I really hope that they come to the podium so that I can introduce this person to the crowd, because that's really cool that they're going to come to my march. And they're the ones who started the whole movement. That's just like a blessing, and I'm so appreciative. Please come to the podium so I can meet you, because I know you ordered your ticket. I saw your name.
And these tickets, they are free.
Yes.
Open to the public.
Yes.
And so the tickets, now will the tickets be given, will be presented to you, or how does that work?
Well, you can register on Eventbrite.com, and I just wanted to try the ticket thing. The ticket's not mandatory, but I still would like you to order the tickets, and you can bring them if you want. I just wanted to try the ticket thing. I thought it would be so cool to try something different this year.
And the ticket is it's a ticket, but what it does is gives a listing of who you are, and your basic information of who you are, and that you'll be attending what organization you're from, and you'll be attending the Women's March, and basically it just prints off a list of individuals, basically.
Yes.
And it's an e-ticket, and that's an internet ticket that they have, and you can go on
Eventbrite.com.
Eventbrite.com, and just register for the event, and the name of the event is what?
Connecticut March for Black Women.
All right, so you go to Connecticut March for Black Women.
Yes.
And
Eventbrite.com.
Eventbrite.com to get your information on that.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And so is there anything else you want to add to what you are doing?
Well, I have a question about our guest that's supposed to call back. Did you want me to present her information since she didn't call back?
What? It's up to you.
Okay, can I go ahead? Because I see she didn't call back. Our guest was supposed to call in from Arkansas, but she didn't. She called earlier to do a test call, but she didn't call, and I would like to at least get her business out there, even though she didn't call back. Her name is Miss Raven Calamise. She's from Arkansas. She's CEO of Wife Code. And if you would like more information on her business, go to http://www.ilovewifecode.com. If you want to reach out to her, her email is wifecode@gmail.com. And she's also available on Facebook and also YouTube. Again, her name is Raven Calamise, and she's owner of Wife Code.
Right. All right. And so, when it comes down to our community, so you have the Women's March that's on September the 28th, 12 p.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. at the state capitol in downtown Hartford. We were asking everyone, if you can, to come out and support. There's going to be over 500 women that's going to be marching to the state capitol, and I want to thank you all for taking this opportunity to march to the state capitol in your cars, in your walks, marching. Basically, there's a get together with all the women and to present to them to say, hey, we are black women in our community and we care about our community. And just like some years back, we did the 1 million men march to Washington. Now we had 1 million plus men. Over 1 million men marched to Washington, and that was the greatest march that ever took place in humanity. And what did it do? It shows that when men can come together, we can do wonders in our communities. And so, and just by you coming together with this women's march, you're talking about 500 women just coming together. That's not even close to what men can do in our community. For the 1 million plus men.
Well, Friday isn't here yet. We might outshine the fellas.
All right, so we need 1 million. We need 1 million
or more
women to show up. So they can come at least close to the number.
Women versus the men.
of the men. Years ago, we had the 1 million men's march to Washington. And so, hey, we Hartford, we want to see all the women come in and support this march coming up September the 28th at the state capitol, 12 p.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. Make this happen. All right. Hey, one other thing that we're doing for Hartford Community Leaders, we are working for our youth developmental, for our youth empowerment conference 2018 happening in November. Now, on this conference, we're going to have young men from UConn and all the different organizations coming in to help for this youth empowerment conference. And what we're going to be emphasizing is going to be ages 8 to 18 years old, and it's going to be emphasizing the importance of education, career, fitness and wellness, health and hygiene, discipline, behavior, self-worth and value, dress and appearance. There's going to be a youth survey for the vote on the topics to cover first. We're going to have food, beverages, and snacks. We're going to have some giveaways and breakout sessions. We're going to be collaborating. And so if you all would like to have more information, you can give me a call, 860-463-3561, 860-463-3561. We need volunteers to set up. We need volunteers to come in to say, hey, we want to support. We want to just meet and greet the youth when they come in. We want volunteers to come in and say, hey, we want to give them some literature, when they come in. And this event is free, open to the public. And so this all takes place in November, November 17th, tentative date. All right.
And don't forget your care packages.
Yes.
Don't forget that announcement. That's truly important for the community.
Yeah, and that takes place November 17th. Location to be announced. And the event is free, open to the public. It says empowering youth with tools to succeed at life. And so we want you to support this entire event. It's an opportunity for local youth to learn essential tools to succeed in life from Hartford Community Leaders, all right? From Hartford Community Leaders and leaders in our community in the greater Hartford area coming together, students from UConn. We're going to have National Guards. We've in talks with law enforcement department and many, many others. And so we want you all to come on out to address those situations and concerns in our community, because our youth are so very important in our communities to have those topics being met in our communities. All right? Hartford, and then it all takes place in November. Don't forget our care packs happening. We need for you to donate your care packs. We have socks, we have toothbrushes, you have deodorants, you have lotion, toothpaste, soap. These are care pack items that's needed that we package together and we bring to the homeless shelter. Thank you all last year for supporting the efforts of Hartford Community Leaders and bringing those care packs to the shelters. We had over 150 care packs available, and we presented over 100 care packs during that time. We have still in our possession, we have about 50 more care packs, and we wanted to take those 50 and we need to add 100 more to those 50 that we have so that we can have some throughout the whole entire year to pass out to those that are homeless, those that are in the homeless shelters, those that are in need. And so we're able to pass those care packs out. This happens between October and December this year, October and December for our care packs. And we ask you to just come back, get our care packs together and present it to our communities. And let's make this happen. You can give me a call once again, 860-463-3561. The email address is hartfordhcl@gmail.com. hartfordhcl@gmail.com. And you can get those care packs to us. We can come pick them up, or you can deliver them to our office location at East Hartford, Connecticut, 135 Burnside Avenue. Just look on the boxes, Hartford Community Leaders Care Pack Drive. All right? So we want you to support these efforts and what we're doing. We definitely need volunteers for our youth empowerment. If you're out there and you would like to volunteer, make sure you send me an email, hartfordhcl@gmail.com. We've been getting so many calls for people that want to support our youth and our communities. We've been getting so many calls about the care pack items, donation for the care pack items. I'm telling you, we have a concerned community when it comes down to our community.